Hi, John.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Everything is good.
Well, it is already 2 weeks, since we talk,
Yes,
and then what happened in New York City right now? You know, you hit the peak already, but still
yes,
lot of death. I found
yes.
out.
Yeah,
So
there's still lots of deaths. We hit a peak, but what's happened is because of the measures taken to control the coronavirus, they've done what they call lower the curve.
mm,
So instead of going way up like this, we
mm.
have quite a few cases, but there's more. It's a wider area so that the hospitals are not completely overwhelmed.
Oh, really? For
But many
example,
of them are overwhelmed, but still it's not as bad as if we had not taken measures to,
I
as they say, lower the curve on the graph.
uh, question. For example, if you let's say you got if you sick in bed, something like a different reason, not the
Yes,
coronavirus. For example,
yes,
if you have a heavy headache or something like this,
yes.
then hospital can take care of you right now in New York City?
uh yeah, unless you feel it's a life or death situation, I think it's not a good idea to go to the hospital because you could catch the coronavirus there.
I understand, because it is difficult to control it.
It is
Oh, such a mess right now.
very difficult. Yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And here's the problem about that. People don't know. Many people may be carriers of coronavirus, but they have no symptoms.
I agree.
So they don't know if they have it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is why this is such a really difficult disease to fight.
How about the doctors? Doctors, I mean, there are many kind of doctors, like not only just internal medical doctors, but various kind of doctors quite busy for only
They are.
coronavirus.
Yes.
They have a time to take care of the other people.
Uh, well, they try to make time, but many of them are completely worn out. They're doing 12 or 14-hour days,
Yeah.
and every time they see a patient, they
Mm.
have to take off their PPE,
I understand.
personal protective equipment, and put on different one to see a different patient.
Oh.
So they're physically and mentally exhausted, most of them.
But as you know, and I know that New York is a quite a busy city, ordinary
Yes,
cases, and
yes,
millions of people are living and a different way of
that's right.
life. And there are some kind of another emergency situations, for example, like a heart attack or like a
Yes,
gun shooting or,
yes,
I mean,
yes,
traffic
yes,
accident. If
yes.
such kind of things happens, I mean, ER people are all right for that?
They have even more of a difficult time because they're completely overworked. So you probably have heard that in New York we have many people,
Hmm.
several thousand who've come from outside New York,
Yes.
from other parts of the United States, and they've come to New York to help with this crisis.
Hmm.
And they're being housed in hotels. They don't have to pay for the rooms, but
Hmm.
they're working every day, as I say, 12 or 14 hours, something like that,
Hmm.
to help to fight this illness, and especially as you ask about emergency rooms, especially in emergency rooms.
And one lady committed suicide, I heard,
That's correct. Yeah, I heard
because
the
of
same thing.
overstressed.
Overstressed, and they're thinking now that two other kinds of diseases have been increased because of coronavirus. One is heart disease,
Hmm.
so heart attacks and so on, maybe stroke. And then the other area is the function of kidneys,
I see.
so your intestines. This has become much worse because of coronavirus. At least right now, that's a working theory. There's no absolute proof, but many of the medical doctors are feeling that both of these uh, uh, heart disease
Uh,
and kidney disease have
What is
increased.
complication, you mean?
Yes, as a complication of the
Mhm.
coronavirus.
I see. Then that's, ER lady committed suicide because of overwork.
I think it because of overwork. I don't know. I can't remember if she had the coronavirus herself, but
Mhm.
many of those workers get the coronavirus themselves, and of course that makes them even more depressed
Mm.
because then they can't do the work that they're good at, and
Mhm.
they have to stay away for 2 or 3 weeks. And some of them are living alone, and how do they take care of themselves? It's very, very difficult.
And you mentioned about the business side is also a big stress also, right? Lots of
Right.
owners. And there are a lot of, controversial issue about whether economy must be started again or not. And your governor said absolutely not, he said, right? And
That's right.
Governor of Georgia start open the business.
Yes.
And how New York can manage this crisis as for the business side?
Well, look, Governor Cuomo has been very firm about this, that he wants to have 14 days between the time when there's no new case. We have to have the same situation for 14 days before he wants to reopen the economy.
Wow, but a long time future, that case.
Well, that may be on into June and July before that happens, and even that may be too soon. Who knows? I don't know, but he may compromise on that with certain businesses that are where it's easier to keep social distance. For example, a small shop which has no space in it, if you only have one or two customers in at a time, it may be acceptable. So I think he's still thinking about that with his executive committee for the coronavirus to see. But one thing we know for sure, and that is that Mr. Cuomo is not taking any of the advice from President Trump, because he's wrong every time about things. He's completely uninformed. And if you listen to his advice, our whole coronavirus catastrophe here would be even worse.
Yeah, this is the news I heard. Just in January already, our president was informed about the coronavirus problem many times, but he ignored, isn't it?
That's correct. Look, on January 20th, South Korea and the United States first learned about the first official case in our respective countries. But South Korea is already on the downside of they've had this high curve, they flattened the curve, and now they're on the downside. So they haven't completely gotten rid of coronavirus, but it's looking much, much better there.
Oh,
so
almost actually.
Yeah, we have the same opportunity to do that in the U.S., even though we're a much, much bigger country in numbers of people than South Korea. But we did nothing for 2 full months until about the 20th of March.
I see. So
this is why Trump is, I think all these many thousands of deaths in the United States is partly, not totally his fault, but partly his fault. So I think many of the people in the Senate who did not vote to convict him in impeachment process are probably feeling that they made a huge mistake, because if I kill somebody, I would have to go to prison because I murdered them. I killed them.
Sure.
But Mr. Trump has killed many thousands of people, and he's not yet going to prison.
For the bad judgment. For
bad judgment. Exactly right. So it makes absolutely no sense.
Do you think
he's still not, if I can one more point, he's still not really behind the one step that must be taken in order to stop the coronavirus, and that is to test people to see if they have it. I mean, still today, only about, I don't know what it is, 1 or 2% of Americans have even been tested. So, and there's 335 or 40 million Americans now. So if you don't know you have the disease, there's no way you can fight it. You can't fight it. You have to know.
It's a similar situation in Tokyo too.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So you can expect, if Japan does not do such kind of testing so much, maybe their future might be like a New York. That case.
That's possible. That's right. That's right. So now we have something like 20 to 25% of the deaths in the world, all countries together, of coronavirus. And in terms of people with coronavirus, we have about 1/3. Let's see, it's about 1/3 of all the cases in the world are in America, and about 20 to 25% of the deaths from coronavirus are in America.
Right now, already it's more than 50 people died, right? In the United States. 50,000, sorry, 50,000
Oh,
people.
50,000, that's correct. It's over 50,000.
Died.
Yep.
And
Yep.
in the United States, and them still increasing. How about other states?
It's the most populous states are the ones where most people have died: California, New York, California, and Florida.
Right.
But the states where big state like Texas has not so many people because it's much bigger. So it's by land area, so it's easier to keep social distance.
Interestingly, but the United States is really diverse because by states. So maybe
correct.
People from the other states does not know much about the new situation of the New York City as a feelings. Maybe they may have a different.
They keep. But you're probably right about that. Most people don't listen much to the news, I think. But I think in this case, probably most people are at least aware of something in other states, because this is definitely a national issue, an international issue, not just a local state issue.
I see. So that case, from the conservative side to the liberal side, everybody has a kind of similar thing. So that case, a kind of resentment against the federal government is strong right now.
Very strong.
Interesting.
Yeah. In fact, let me give you one more example about that. For about 4 or 5 weeks, every day, Mr. Trump was holding a public news conference.
Yes.
With his coronavirus team every afternoon at the White House. And every day he would tell some lies and some stupid things, and he wants to make himself the center of attention rather than the virus itself or the people of America. And so finally last week, at the end of last week, week before last, he said this stupid thing about injecting Clorox or Lysol into the body and putting light in there somehow. It's just really stupid, and he got such a feedback from the public, so negative, that his advisors finally said, "Mr. President, you need to stop doing this because people are getting angry at you. Even some of your people who voted for you." It's a very serious matter. So from this weekend, no more public press conferences.
I'm curious. I'm curious about the relationship between the Dr. Fauci and Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's a good.
How they are managing each other?
I don't know. I thought by now he would have probably tried to fire Dr. Fauci, because Fauci, almost in every news conference, had to do something to contradict what the president had said.
But this is interesting because he is hired by current administration to take care of the coronavirus.
In effect,
as a head, right?
Yeah, but in effect, Dr. Fauci has been in his office since 1984, so a very, very long time. And he is not in the Center for Disease Control. He's in the National Institutes of Health.
I see.
And their main office is just outside of Washington, D.C. in Bethesda, Maryland. So he's close to the Capitol, so he can get into the White House every day, right? And he is probably one of the most respected persons in all of the United States now.
Seems like that, right?
Yeah.
And he, actually, he has been serving to the many presidency, right?
Many presidents, that's right. Since Reagan. He's been in there since Ronald Reagan. Yeah.
I see.